Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Thanks for joining us today. I've got special guests with me here in Studio B at Sweetwater. Jessica Lynn, Peter Calamera. Nice to have you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you coming through. You were doing some recording in the studio.
It was so much fun.
Yeah?
That honestly was a bucket list item for me because I watched all the videos, and I've always wanted to do that. So it's really an honor to be here.
Right. You guys got like 3 songs.
Yeah,
right?
we
Videos
did.
of them. That's awesome. I stuck my head in and listened to while you were tracking, I think, a second one.
Okay.
And man, it sounded great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so you're out touring. You've been out for July and into August and all the way into the fall, right?
Yeah, it feels so good to be back on the road. We lost a world tour of 15 countries, 2020, 2021,
wow.
and again this year. And it got called so late that we weren't going to go. We were holding on, hoping it was going to happen.
Right.
And when it didn't, we're like, we have to make use of this summer. So let's put a USA tour together. Let's do something really fun. And we are so happy we could make a stop here.
Yeah, and you packed the month. I mean, you're playing pretty much every night or every other night.
We did. I'm dying. I can't wait for my nap tonight.
That's awesome. So in the time during the pandemic and things, I was really interested to see all the live streams and things that you were doing. And you were a top-rated live streamer, weren't you? One of the top 25?
That to me, I still feel like it's a lie when I say that out loud because
Yeah.
the internet is such a huge place. And yes, we were top 25 live streamer of the year by Polestar. When we lost everything, I always joke, it's, my fighting New York Italian spirit that I was like, I'm not going to let this thing beat me. I'm going to continue somehow, some way. So despite being out of work, we upgraded our camera gear. We got lights. We did all this stuff. And we turned our living room into basically a production studio. And I just started streaming as much as I could. Sometimes I was doing 6 times a week, just all different things. And sometimes I had up to 100,000 people sitting in my living room with me
That's
at a time.
amazing.
Yeah.
And the messages, honestly, I get teary-eyed every time I talk about it, but saying how people felt so alone and getting to sit with me and be with me every week was like getting them through the pandemic.
Right.
And it was just an incredible experience.
It was like a personal concert for everybody
Yeah.
who's watching. It's really cool.
We didn't
really
actually,
was.
when she first had the idea and this was starting, this hadn't been done before. We'd never been in a situation like this. So I was the doubting Thomas. I just said, I don't know about this. People are going to actually sit in their living room and tune into this. They're never going to know. And then she did the first one, and we saw these numbers start coming in, and then it grew and grew. And now she's got this incredible Wednesday afternoon one that she does every week, and she's got this fan base from around the world that tune in every Wednesday afternoon, and they formed this really cool little community. And so many of them now, we do a big Christmas show in
Right.
New York around the holidays. They're all flying in for the Christmas show.
Denmark, Scotland, all
Wow,
over
how
the
about
world
that?
they're coming to see.
That's so great.
A lot of good things also came out of the last few years.
Right.
Got to think on the positive side.
Well, you managed to maintain the momentum because your career's been going like this from when you were 10 years old and started writing songs and playing in 16 when she appeared on your TV special and things.
Yes.
And so it was great you were able to keep that momentum going
It was hard.
when everybody was shut down.
I definitely woke up many mornings and was like, what do I do today?
Right.
I don't know where to go. Is this getting old? Is this getting tired? I would constantly have to think of new ways to do the live streams. At first, I would just do Facebook and Instagram where I'd sit there and play a bunch of my tunes. I'm like, how many times are these people going to listen to me play the same songs?
Right.
So then I started taking requests where I would have to try anything on the spot. So you would write in, play Somebody to Love by Queen, and I would have to try it. And it pushed me in ways as a musician that I never thought were possible. And I'm really grateful for that. It made me a much better performer and player and singer, sight reader, everything.
Oh, yeah.
Out of that, her being put in these uncomfortable positions, one thing they would say, Not Your Woman is one of Jessica's earlier big songs. And it's a real raucous kind of bluesy, gritty thing. But somebody would say, I wonder you do that as a ballad in a minor key.
And I had to try it.
Right.
And that actually wound up leading. I said, I've tried a bunch of these songs on the spot, and the fans were like, you got to record those. Please, please put out a piano EP. So I was like, you know what? Nothing's going to happen with this. Let's just do a passion project. I love playing the piano. I rarely get to do it in the live show. And it charted 6 in country music on the day of its release.
Wow, that's awesome.
Which was another just blessing out of the last few years.
Yeah, you started out as a piano player.
Yeah, I was classically trained on the piano as a kid. And then I moved to guitar my first song, he taught me my first few chords, which was Surfer Girl by the Beach Boys. I'm a huge Beach Boys fan. And then I learned, when I wanted to start my own band when I was 13, I wanted to learn to play all the instruments. So as the songwriter, I could communicate it to everybody. So I learned drums by playing to the American Idiot Green Day album over and over again. And picked up a little bit of harmonica. I played violin when I was in school. So for me, it was really out of wanting to be a better songwriter to understand all these different pieces.
The piano lessons were interesting. As a parent, you call the piano teacher and say, so how's, Jessica doing? He says, well, I have to be honest with you. This is after like 2 years of weekly lessons. So she's not really doing so good. She's not advancing as much as I'd like. I said, so what's the problem? And she said, well, every time she comes in here, all she wants to do is show me something she wrote. She doesn't want to learn something, so we sit here listening to her tune.
Right.
I said, well, that's either good or bad. I said,
Yeah.
I'll go with the good side of that.
Right. Now you were a musician.
Yes, sir.
You had like I mentioned, a TV special that you had
Yes.
done and things. And so was he part of why you were getting into music? Were you working together on things?
Both my parents were a big influence on me growing up. I was always surrounded by music in the house. So despite him being a retired New York City street cop, he was always composing. He played in bands his whole life. My mom was always a wedding singer. So I always was just around this. And then obviously they were super supportive when I wanted to follow in their footsteps. And now he plays in my band, the bass, and my mom's also the background singer.
But the rumor I heard, and you can tell me if this is wrong, when you went to college, it was for education and mathematics, correct? So you're a mathematician?
Yes, I am. I'm a true nerd. Like, I love math, numbers. I'm a study-holic, if that's a word, like
Right.
honors college all the way, never a partier. I'm a super square, I guess you could say. But I wanted to go to school for something aside from music, because from a young age, I saw how a music career could be so great and then the next day have nothing. So even though I knew I could do it and make my mark somehow, some way,
Right.
I wanted a solid backup plan, if I ever wanted to step away. And for me, I said, what's the most like music? Well, teaching. You have to be in front of an audience. You have to captivate them. You make a connection with people. The greater your connection with them is, the more they want to listen to what you have to say. So I have a master's in special education, actually, and a bachelor's in math and adolescent education. So I'm certified to teach 5th through 12th grade.
Nice. So after college, then you decided to plunge full-time into the music thing, or how did that evolve?
I was always doing both at the same time. I was doing my student teaching, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, taking classes all day after that, and then going right into the studio to keep performing. And we decided to film my first television special, which is how my career started. So, daddy-daughter argument and who knows more type of thing. He's like, I said, I was always doing rock and roll. And I said, I want to do country music. Can you help me make a demo? And because now he engineers my music too. And he said, why do you want to do a demo? Everybody has a demo. Do something different. You're an Italian New Yorker that wants to do country music. Film something for TV. I fought so hard. I said, no one's ever going to air a television special, an unknown artist. Everybody would do it. They'd just film something
Right.
and hand it off to TV.
Right.
So he said, worst comes to worst, you have a nice live video to shop your new music with. That show, we had so many issues. We had no budget. We hand-built the risers we stood on. We borrowed a venue. We used the cheapest camera crew we could find. And we had so many issues with the audio that it wound up going 2 years post-production
Wow.
on it.
It was a nightmare to get it done, but, we weren't giving up.
I thought
Right.
my dreams were over.
Right.
And it actually wound up going nationwide on PBS.
Nice.
And that's how my whole career started. And we were doing all of that post-production work, the filming, everything while I was still in school. So I remember the day I graduated, I threw my, you make the big presentation poster boards. I tossed it into the dumpster outside of school.
I'm hitting the road.
Exactly. It was like a movie.
Right.
And literally from that TV show, we started to get the calls hitting the road. We were not ready to tour. The band that we put together for the special, we didn't even know if we were going to be staying with them. My wife, Jessica's mother, and I weren't even in the band. I was working on the camera side of it. We get a phone call from Taste of Country and Town Square Media, who do all the big festivals. I said, we want to have Jessica, she can bookend Brad Paisley, in New York, and we'll send you out. I think we played with Thompson Square.
Thompson
and
Square,
Montgomery
a lot of
Gentry.
really cool country acts.
So, we weren't prepared to do this, but we get off the phone and we accepted it. Oh, yeah, we'll be there, we'll be there. We looked at each other when we hung up the phone and says, how the hell are we going to get to Montana?
It was for
What are we going to
no
do?
money. I was a new artist. Like, you want this opportunity?
Yeah.
I do. So my first tour, we borrowed a van with another band's image on it. And a really beat up old trailer that it broke down on us like at least 3 times on the trip, but we did that trip.
Right.
And that's how everything started.
Make it happen. That's awesome. So Peter, you play bass in the band.
Yes, sir.
You were doing the camera work, but you're also the recording engineer. Do you guys have a home studio or a facility you work out of? Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have a home studio. We've done various projects in different studios. The television shows were recorded by friends of ours, and we used their studio. And then in the end, it just seemed just more effective for us. Jessica really has her hands in everything. Mm-hmm. So if she's going to drive an engineer crazy, nitpicking everything, whatever, at least it's me, and I'm used to that. She's my daughter. So we started doing it on our own, and then we had success. It started to work. We got better and better at what we were doing. And now pretty much everything we do is done completely in-house. Mm-hmm. The 3 television specials that we've done have all been done in-house now. We're going to start a new streaming series, hopefully this fall, that we're going to be doing. And of course, having great gear, like I know we're going to mention some of the Hazel Rig stuff. That played a very, very big part in where we are now.
Sure. Yeah, they were instrumental in bringing you in here for this, and the Hazel Rig Industry guys are great partners with us here at Sweetwater, so we're grateful to them for having you guys come in. But obviously the gear also sounds great.
Yes.
I mean, the compressor, the preamp, and everything. I mean, it's just fantastic, especially for vocals, but for just about anything that you're working on. Do you have a preferred vocal mic that you use with Jessica?
We use a lot of Lewitt stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited. We haven't been able to use it yet because we just got out on the tour, but a brand new, I actually have the only and the first beta version of it. It's a capsule that goes into an existing wireless microphone and turns it into a Lewitt Studio condenser mic. Nice. And they just make great stuff. We used, for the whole last television special, all Lewitt mics, and so mainly we use Lewitt stuff. Mm-hmm.
Right, fantastic microphones. Do you have a space that you've built out for recording that's acoustically treated in a control room, or do you do it all in one room, or how do you track?
We just did now. Most of Jessica's stuff before this was recorded in a bedroom that we kind of move everything out of and get everything
very
in.
Grassroots, independent artist style.
And then we finally took over a room in her house and we said, we'll make this the studio. And we just did that, and we're building that still as we speak. There's always something else you want, and you'll add something else to it, but we're working on that now.
Right. You mentioned the grassroots thing. You're really a great example of the modern music industry, because things have changed so much, and social media is such a big part of what people are doing, and touring is a big part of supporting yourself as a musician and things. Talk a little bit about, do you have a strategy? How did you approach building your career as an artist? My
strategy, honestly, it sounds kind of silly, is to just always follow your gut and believe in what you're doing and never take no for an answer, and to try everything. I've failed 1,000,001 times, and I believe that the people that succeed are the ones that could be like, wow, that was terrible. I feel so broken down right now, but I'm going to brush myself off and keep going. And it's hard to do, but when you can find the strength within yourself to do that, I feel like you can accomplish great things. And when you always just seek out new opportunities, no one is ever going to work as hard for you as you're going to work for yourself. The amount of booking agents we've had to come to us, all these people like, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do this, or PR, or this, that. We've managed to do more for us than anyone ever has, because no one cares like you care, or has that passion that you have, or that fire, and just always try. I always say the worst that could happen is you're in the same spot. And the perfect example of this is that I'm a huge Richard Marx fan. He was my first concert when I was 5 years old. So I was in the stands like, Richard. I remember he waved at me, and my whole life was made in that moment. Right. And he was coming. I got an email that he was coming to a venue near me right before the world shut down, February of 2020. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to find Richard Marx and send him an email. And I honestly felt a little embarrassed. Like, he's never just going to let me open for him, Right. Who am I? And I wound up getting his email. I sent him an email and said, I would love to open for you. Here's my music. I've been such a big fan. He wrote me back. Well done. He said, I usually don't have openers, but I would love to have you open the show. And I remember I just went screaming and running. And I said, fear could could have stopped me from this amazing opportunity? What did I have to lose by just asking?
Right.
And sometimes things beyond your wildest imagination and dreams can happen if you just go for it.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
We also, she was in a different position that we're New Yorkers, we're Italians from Brooklyn, and we're doing country music. You know, she's out there as a country artist, and country music the last few years particularly is so male dominated. It's just the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So she had like two things going against her. I remember the first trip we took down to Nashville, she got called to do a show at the Silver Dollar Saloon. And we walked in and it was, I swear, just like something out of My Cousin Vinny. You know, we all come in from New York, there's the crew with the crazy clothes, leather jackets. We walk in like the record scratches, and everybody turned around. I remember turning to my friend who was Jessica's road manager. I said, we're gonna die in here. I said, this is no joke. And I thought they were gonna hate her. Every kid that got up there had blonde hair, blue eyes, had the same dress, like really looked, they were like cut out of a cookie cutter and put up there. And I said, this is not us, they're gonna kill her up there. She went up there, and the fact that she was so different in so many ways, in her dress and in her music, which had all these different styles to it. Shania Twain's original pedal steel player was in the audience, as was a big portion of the Carter Cash family. Both of them ran over to her the second she was done and said, who are you? Tell us all about you. Sit down here with us. It was amazing. But it kind of, despite all, but we knew we were going into a hard game here. Mm-hmm. Things seemed to work, and her uniqueness in being so different and an outsider seemed to always work in her favor.
Right.
And helped push her along.
I think you always have to be genuine and be yourself. There's a million and one everyone else is, and you know, everyone's always searching the next big thing while still wanting you to be the big thing that's right now.
Right.
And I find that very strange. And so many doors have opened for us by just being unique. Mm-hmm. And I actually teach global music academies now for the U.S. government, which is something also really cool that the pandemic brought to me. And I always tell my students, just be you. You could be like a pioneer of something. You could pave a path that has never been paved before or walked before.
Right.
It's so important.
Right. Yeah, you're like an ambassador, right, for the American Music Abroad
I am.
Program?
So when we were on tour in Lithuania, the U.S. Embassy had a booth at this big festival, so we wanted to meet the Americans, so we go over and they said, we read about you and you would be so perfect with your teaching background for this thing. And basically they choose 10 bands a year from across the entire United States that get to be cultural ambassadors and travel to very foreign countries and do outreach. Maybe we do a music class at a local orphanage and then play at their famed city center, things like that.
Work with local musicians.
Yeah, so unfortunately, because we got hired during the pandemic, we've only done virtual programming so far.
Okay.
And then they slowly also started to move me into the global academy area, which my first academy was in Indonesia, and I had students from 16 to 33 years old, all at different, some people that had been on like The Voice of Indonesia, and other 16-year-old starting guitarists that reminded me so much of myself. And now my next academy starts this week, and I think I have 14 different countries.
Wow, that's so exciting.
Yeah, I really love it. I really do. I'm very passionate about it.
Right. Well, you're busy. The other thing I have to mention is, and you mentioned it earlier, is the Christmas Spectacular. I was checking out some of the photos and things from the past ones, and wow, you guys really do it.
It's that's another example of when you believe in something, just go for it. The first few years, actually, that all started. I love Christmas and holiday music. Some people hate it. I don't know how. They must have like hearts of coal. And we got asked to open for a John Denver tribute act in the beginning of my career, and he did a lot of holiday music.
Who, by the way, is still out there doing this. Great. His name is Ted Vigil, if you ever get a chance to see him.
If you're a John
He's
Denver
remarkable.
fan.
Awesome.
And so it went really good. We're like, we should look into doing our own thing. And I always have a big vision for things, so I wanted the snow machines and this and that. And the first 3 years, we were in the red, like big time on this show. But I kept saying, like, I know I could do this. I can build this into something. And now it sells out the Paramount every year. And
right.
We had over 150 people in the show this year. And
wow.
we do snow machines, special effects, props.
Dancers, costumes.
Yeah.
I hand wrap about 150 gifts to put all over that he yells at me every time to unwrap to put in the trailer. I'm like, you know how much hard work that is, wrapping that many presents? But it's and we do it for Toys for Tots, and
Yes.
it's become their biggest fundraiser of the year, actually,
Nice.
the local chapter.
That's really great.
So it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot
that's
of work also because
Yeah.
we're starting in like July and August. We're playing Christmas songs to
Right.
learn for
Yeah.
the thing.
Right,
Christmas
right.
music is not easy.
In July, especially.
I know.
Yeah,
For
there's
your
something
mind.
wrong with that, you know.
That's a great cause, though. That's wonderful that you do that.
And this year we're taking it on the road for the first time ever.
Yes, we are.
We're gonna
I
be
haven't
on the road
announced
with
it yet, so
There you
Sweetwater
go.
exclusive.
We're breaking the news here. In this
There you go.
interview.
Just
That's
drop the bomb.
There you go.
awesome. So what else is coming up for the rest of the year? Do you have more music coming out? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, we just put out my brand new single, which is kind of the big song before the record comes out, which was also a pandemic project. While we were home, we're like, let's do it.
Sure.
I've had television specials, singles, music videos, all that stuff, EPs, but never a debut record. It's hard to do as an independent artist, put
Yeah.
out a full-length record. So we recorded it and it comes out in September. So the music video comes out July 22nd too. The single's The Morning Always Comes, which we also recorded here today, which I cannot wait to hear. And a lot more touring, being on the road, more global teaching academies, more music.
Christmas spectacular.
Christmas is
Yeah.
coming up. I know
Right.
it's.
That's
I
awesome.
remember it's always like the day after Christmas, and I'm like, what a whirlwind this year was. You know, you kind of
Right,
sit like,
right.
whew, I need a break.
Right. And the album is Lone Rider.
Yep.
Correct. And you mentioned coming out in August, September.
It comes out
timeframe?
September 9th.
September. Awesome. Great. Well, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
We'll look forward to it, and we so appreciate you guys stopping by to see us today, and certainly for the music you were making in the studio. It sounded fantastic. We're going to have some of those videos that you can check out on our YouTube channel, so definitely stay tuned for that. But great stuff. Great to see you guys.
Thank you so much. Same here.
Yeah, and our thanks to Hazel Rig Industries for
Absolutely.
helping bring
Yes.
you all in here. Please come back.
Oh,
we
Love
would,
to have you back here at Sweetwater again.
We would love that.
All right, awesome.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
thank you.
And thank you for joining us here in Studio B at Sweetwater. I'm Mitch Gallagher.
What day?